Other challenge is going from translation constantly, going from translating in your mind to speaking. So I teach students to use fillers, that there's nothing wrong with using fillers because native speakers will say, "Oh,
عندي لكم سؤال مهم. علاش بعض المتعلمين كيلقاو سهولة في تعلمهم اللغة وكيتحدثوا اللغة الإنجليزية بطلاقة؟ بعض الآخر كيلقاو بزاف ديال التعثرات وواخا كيحطوا بزاف ديال الوقت ما كيقدروش أنهم يتعلموا اللغة الإنجليزية. معكم هند English Coach، وموضوعنا اليوم كيفاش ممكن أننا نحسن مهارات المحادثة في اللغة الإنجليزية بسرعة. ولأن المحادثة موضوع كبير وشامل وكيبغي صوت وتجربة حقيقية، معنا مدربة أمريكية Teacher Heather. We are going to start by introducing Teacher Heather. I'm really excited and happy to see you here today with us.
thank you, I'm so glad to be here."
So could you please, Heather, tell us a little more about yourself? Who are you and what do you do exactly at Linglo Speaksy?
Sure, I'm so happy to be here. My name is Heather. I'm from the United States and I'm a native English speaker. I've been teaching English for roughly 9 years now. And at this institute, what I've been doing is teaching group classes as well as individual lessons. I'd have to say that the individual lessons are some of my favorite, but I absolutely adore the students that I've had in the group classes. They are so eager to learn, so excited about being there, and the most exciting part about it for me is watching a student go from being extremely shy to being extremely talkative in class. I love when the students compete with one another on who can speak first, who can speak the longest. It's a lot of fun in the group lessons.
Yeah, I really like it how you go deeper just from the first question. So we are going to have a lot of questions concerning that.
Okay.
And I really like the way you talk about, let's say, way of starting as a beginner, moving to a confident learner and speaker for English.
Yes.
So I would first speak about feeling difficult to speak English, like feeling really hard to speak English first. So for you as an English teacher, can you feel that in your students? Can you see that they are nervous speaking? They have this translating mind, like translating from Arabic to English.
Yes.
Maybe also losing words when they are talking and when they are speaking. So what do
Absolutely.
you think about that and how do you manage that in the classroom?
So, losing words when speaking and being stuck in translation mode is one of the biggest hurdles that I see the students coming into this institute having. So, what I like to do with them is for the first lesson, I like to get to know my students, find out what they're interested in, because they can talk about these subjects at length in their native language and maybe even their secondary language. So, I like to focus on those topics for each student. Other challenge is going from translation constantly, going from translating in your mind to speaking. So I teach students to use fillers, that there's nothing wrong with using fillers because native speakers will say, um, and like, and things like that all the time. So I like to make sure that my students know that there's nothing wrong with using fillers. In fact, it's going to make you sound a lot more like a native speaker. Another trick that I've offered them is to say, "Oh, that's an interesting question. Let me think about that." This gives them more time to practice in their mind before they start speaking.
I really like this encouraging mood you have in the classroom and how you motivate students to speak in the class. Also, you talk about teaching them using filler words, which sometimes looks awkward. Don't you think so? Like when the students start saying, what do you think?
Sometimes it can be a bit awkward, but I just have to let them know we're here for learning. This is a learning environment. And just understanding that it's okay to make mistakes because mistakes are what help you grow your brain and help you learn. Not everybody is going to be a super confident public speaker. Like even myself being on camera, it's a little intimidating for me. So I definitely relate to my students when they're shy. I let them, have the option to have their camera off. But I make sure that every student has an opportunity to speak. It's a no judgment zone. Absolutely no judgment, especially in the mixed classes where you have some students who are a little bit higher level than others. I like to pair them together so that they can learn from each other.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And also, I like what you say about grouping the student into having the same levels, because sometimes students don't feel comfortable like studying with higher level students.
Yes.
So this point of having the same group while you are teaching, it's really important. And also way of encouraging, because as we are talking about online teaching, so it's not like face to face, like where I can see you and talk to you and feel you. It's really different when you are teaching online and having this distance between you and the student. How do
I,
you deal with that? Like, how do you make this relationship between you and the student strong?
well, I always let my students know that I am available pretty much 24/7. We are in the 21st century, so they can always reach out to me on WhatsApp and I will respond to them with anything that they have questions about. I found that the more shy students in the class really will bombard me with messages after class is over. And I welcome that. And as soon as they see that I'm welcoming of that and that I'm here to help them succeed, the next lesson becomes so much easier from them. It's like the difference is night and day.
Yeah, that's
Once
true.
they have that support, once they realize this is a real person and I can speak with her outside of the classroom, I
I
think that bridges that gap there between in person and online.
Even in my online classes, I do the same thing. I try to feel and make them feel that they are family. And specifically making this atmosphere from the first session where we
Yes.
met. Like you get to know the student, their names, and from that you can start calling their names instead of just, calling this title you have in Zoom or in Google Meet.
Exactly. And speaking about that personal connection with them, I've had students when they get stuck on a prompt, they'll say, "Well, Miss Teacher Heather, can you tell us? Can you answer the question first?" And that also, it's like two birds with one stone because you're doing the modeling for the student and you're getting the wheels turning in their mind, giving them that space to come up with their answer.
Yeah, so true. And saying that, we can talk about having student like feeling that it's really a calm atmosphere and there is no fear of making mistakes.
Hmm.
Like I feel happy when the student make mistakes because I have this space to encourage him to repeat more and also to correct what he says.
Yes.
And this is their weaknesses actually. So we are teachers happy for students to make mistakes,
Yes.
but they fear making mistakes.
Yes. So, what I like to tell students when they are afraid of making mistakes is that we should reframe it because as English teachers, we know that words matter. Another thing is that I have an emphasis, a background in psychology as well. So, I know that language has a huge impact on how you are going to function. So, instead of talking about mistakes, I like to talk about areas for growth or areas for improvement. Just that simple switch of language not only helps them build vocabulary, but helps them take that word failure out of their mind completely. I honestly feel like failure
Yeah,
or mistake is unnecessary in the English language. We should focus on talking about a student's strengths and their areas for improvement.
so true.
Always pair a strength with an area for improvement if necessary.
That's true.
Yeah.
And specifically, if we make the student believe and also think that English is like any other skill is going to learn. So English is maybe like learning how to do IT, for example,
Mm,
or being, let's say, an assistant. It's all the same. It's a skill that should be learned. And if
yes.
you make mistakes, it's really fine for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially this is Morocco. Most of the students who are coming into my classroom already know three languages before I even start talking with them. So I have to remind my students, especially from here, you are intelligent. You already speak three languages. You've got this.
Yeah,
The
that's true.
biggest thing that we can do is be supportive for our students and encouraging.
Exactly. So the problem is not you as a student, but the way you are learning and taking English.
Absolutely,
That's true.
absolutely.
And when you speak, you mentioned that Moroccans speak three languages, maybe even more, some of them.
Yes.
And this overlapping of languages, when you speak in English, the Arabic language comes out,
Yeah.
maybe the French language comes out. This is also another problem and challenge for them because they feel that they get stuck in these three maybe languages and they can't master and speak fluent English.
Well, I let them know that, look, I come from a family of immigrants on both sides. My mother's side is from Mexico and my father's side is from Poland. Having an accent is okay. What matters is being understood. So when you have a student coming in who speaks multiple languages, it's easy to get the accents all jumbled up. I don't want to focus on that in the very beginning. A lot of them are excited to meet me. Oh, she's American. I want that American accent. But I have to let them know, listen to my family members speak. They have an accent, and that is as American as apple pie, as they say, having an accent. So
Yeah.
it's when you enter the United States, all over the country, people have different ways of speaking English and different accents, and it doesn't make them any less American. So I like to encourage students that way, just putting it into perspective. Not everything is like you see on TV or the movies. You don't have to have a perfect accent from the start. That can come later. The more you're exposed to different types of accents, for example, if you work in the North or in the South, you're going to adapt more to their way of speaking. Doesn't mean if you go to the North from the South that they won't be able to understand you anymore. So it's okay to have an accent.
Yeah, that's true. Like, even if we can see the Japanese speaking,
Mhm.
maybe the Indian speaking,
Yeah.
when I have been in India, it was really weird first to understand what they are saying because their accent or mother tongue is really dominating their English.
Yes.
So you have to get used to listening to the language, and then you can understand what they are really saying.
Exactly. And you're going to have to get used to that no matter where you go in the English speaking world. For example, the English spoken in Scotland is totally different than the English spoken in England. For example, even though they're so close to each other, the accent becomes very thick. So even native English speakers like myself are going to have to pay attention and adapt to any environment that they're in. And like you said earlier, learning English is just another skill, and mastering accents and understanding them is another skill within that skill.
Yeah, that's true. And this is what we are trying to do at Linglo Speaksy. We are trying to teach in a new way, which is Neurolanguage way, in which you learn the language with your feelings, with your voice, and also you feel and you know what you are saying in English. Not just learning words, learning rules. This is really vain, and it's not leading you to this fluency in English. Like, talking much about this and struggles, let's give them some steps and also techniques how they can move out from these challenges. What are the daily practices they can have to have this fluent English?
One of my favorite things to advise someone to do is practice speaking English in small chunks to yourself. I notice a lot of my students are very good at typing in English, reading books in English, and listening to content on social media in English. But the biggest challenge is speaking, actually getting those words out of their mouth. And a lot of times, this simply comes down to a lack of opportunity to speak English. They're only speaking English in the classroom. So when I have a student who's struggling to speak outside of the classroom, I say, in the morning, when you're getting ready in front of your mirror, start talking about what you're doing. Use the present tense, the present continuous. Right now, I'm brushing my hair. Next, I'm putting on my makeup. Then in the middle of the day, do some more of that. Another 10 minutes when you have a little bit of a break. Maybe you're in the break room or you're in between classes. Start talking to yourself. If you feel shy, you can put your headphones in so people think that you're on the phone. That's another tip that I've given. And then in the end of the day, talk about everything you did that way. So that way you're using the past tense. I notice that a lot of students love the present continuous for talking about the past. And that's because in Arabic, you can continue to use the present even to
Yes.
talk about the past.
So true.
So I make sure, listen, talk in the beginning of the day to use the present tense, middle of the day for present continuous, and at the end of the day to summarize everything in the past tense. If you do this 10 minutes for each, you've got 30 minutes in the day where you are talking actively, even if nobody is there listening to you and it's just yourself. You will see improvement. It's like doing daily affirmations in the mirror. You know, it seems awkward at first, but then once you do it, you start to realize this is changing me. This is making me better at this skill.
That's so true. Like, when you are talking, I just get this difference because when students learn through books, through reading, for example, they think that this is just English. This is what they need to do. But actually, this is just you are taking information, you
Yes.
are receiving, you are learning, but you are not productive. So you
Yeah.
should product through what? Through speaking.
Yes.
So this is also a key point in learning English and speaking fluent English. Another thing is that when you say that they need to practice throughout the day, so this is really important because if they practice throughout the day, it will be kind of automatic kind of speaking English, right? Yeah, because as we say, like speaking a language is part of your life. So what they have in their head is that this is English and this is my life.
Yeah, we need to mesh them together to make it work. You have to bring these, you have to fuse them together, basically. You have to take not only learning English in the classroom, but learning it in your spare time as well. I have students who say, oh, I'm very busy. I'm going to university. I don't have time, Miss Heather, to learn English outside of the hour and a half that we have in our group lesson. And that's when I say, even 10 minutes, even 1 minute of just saying as much English as you possibly can is going to be beneficial. Another thing that I've tried to help them with is giving them journal entry prompts. And practice reading those prompts out loud as well. Just something that you can do as simple as gratitude journaling, anything like that. I had one student who decided that she was going to follow this advice. And on the last day of our session, she announced that she had completed the 30-day journal and that it has helped her so much. And I could see it in the way that she was speaking. I could hear that she was remembering those phrases and those prompts just so much easier than she had before. You know, because you get used to hearing certain things over and over when you're saying it, that it becomes automatic. And that's
true.
the goal here.
I totally agree. Yes, marking this journey is really important because when you mark how you start and when you are, you can feel the progress. You can feel that really you are developing your English. However, but like when you are just learning, in the sake for learning, you can't feel the development without tracking what you have learned, right?
Yes. So I sometimes in the class, with their permission, of course, I will record a little bit of them and then I'll compare it to how they are later. So I had one student, she came into the class barely an A1 or an A2. She didn't know many words for basic household and office items. She was really struggling to speak because she had very little vocabulary. But within 2.5 months of working with her, she went from an A1 all the way to a B2. She was able to produce writing and she was able to speak fluently, much more than she had before. Now I'm still working with her and I believe we're on our way to a C2. Now she only practices with me twice a week for 1 hour each, but she's taking the initiative outside of the classroom, and that makes so much difference.
Yeah, and this is what I really state even to my student. Like having, for example, even 1 week with me, it will not be enough. You have to practice by yourself. You should have this habit of self-learning and self-taking English.
Yes, it's what we're here to do is be guides and facilitate that learning, help you with pronunciation, help you increase your vocabulary, but you've got to do the work as well. It's like you said, if you were studying, medicine or anything like that, you still have to sit and study outside of the classroom. But we can make studying fun, like I said. You can pretend you're doing your own podcast, pretend you're, a beauty influencer on YouTube and talk about your morning routine. You can make it fun. There's so many ways to make learning English fun.
Yeah, take it from the way you like it.
Yes.
Even the readings you are exposed to, choose the ones you really like, choose the one you feel comfortable, and maybe even you want to develop in this field or area.
It's possible.
That's so true. Like when you were talking about this transition again and having a lot of successful stories with our students at Linglo Speaksy, we really feel happy when we see like students develop and this change from a beginner who doesn't know even how to read a paragraph to a fluent, to someone who can read, who can understand you, who can make simple sentences. This is really like surprising for the students and for us. But
it is.
Do you think it's magic? I think it happens like this.
I don't believe that it's magic at all. Like, I believe in hard work and dedication, but My students will tell you another story. Like every time I congratulate them, like, you have made such an amazing transformation, they say, it's thanks to you. Thank you so much. I hear this from all of the students. We couldn't have done this without you. You've given us confidence. You've given us encouragement. You've given us vocabulary. So, what I'm noticing from my students is just having that support. Not to say that I'm not a great English teacher. I know I'm a great English teacher, but it's also the support that I can give. And I think that having that background in psychology and also being a TEFL certified teacher together makes me a good teacher for them
Yeah.
because they need that support and they need somebody who understands the way they're feeling. Also, I am also learning another language as an English speaker, as a Spanish speaker, and now I'm learning the native language, well, the local language here in Morocco as well. So when they start to stumble and they say, oh, I'm translating in my head, I have all these different languages in my head, I said, believe me, I know where you are. Sometimes I'm speaking Spanglish, sometimes I'm speaking Spangrija, sometimes I'm speaking, English Rija, mixing it all together. I'm like, I understand. And so establishing that rapport is another thing that helps so much.
So true. And remind me if I can ask you, how long you have been now living in Morocco?
I've been here for 2.5 years.
Okay, that's interesting. And I can see that you were speaking to people, to local people.
Mm.
And I mean, you can manage yourself, you can communicate, and this is really good.
I try. I am still finding my voice, so sometimes I speak a little quietly. It's like I have a voice in English, I have a voice in Spanish, and now I'm trying to find my voice in Darija as well. So it's no different for my students when I say, as long as you can be understood, don't worry about the accent right now. Build that vocabulary, build that confidence, and then you'll be speaking like a
true.
native in no time.
So true, yeah. Because when you are speaking to a person, your ultimate goal is to understand him,
Yes.
not to judge his accent or his English, right?
Yes, we're not here to just learn English. We are here to learn communication.
That's true. And also, learning a language is not about just the language, but it's about the culture itself.
Absolutely.
Like, I can see you that you are getting immersed with people, with the local people here in Morocco.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we say learning English, you should also, as a student, get immersed to the culture, know the American culture, the British culture,
Mm-hmm.
because this has influenced the language.
Yes, absolutely. And with a country as wide and as vast as the United States, like I said, you're going to have so much different culture from the south to the north, from the west to the east. So social media is going to be your friend. Listen to different people speaking from different parts of the country. That's a trend on social media, to take two people from the same country, but from different regions, and listen to the differences in the way they speak. This is fun, and then they can practice it for fun as well. Maybe laugh a little, bring some humor into the situation, and then they can decide which accent they actually like the best.
So true.
Yeah.
Like when you were speaking, I really like the idea of this comparing the tenses in English and
Mhm.
Arabic, because again, this is a cultural issue.
Yes.
Like when the students speak just in the present, he is having the mind of Arabic and
Mhm.
not an English mind.
Yes.
And what do you think? How students can overcome this problem?
The easiest way to overcome it is, like I said, practice speaking in different tenses throughout the day. Try to do it daily. The past tense is the hardest for Arabic speakers to grasp. So taking that time at the end of the day, even if that's the only time you're speaking English is at the end of the day before going to bed, at least you're speaking in the past tense, because present and present continuous are so easy to master. So if I tell a student, if they only have one opportunity outside of class to speak, do it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Do a journal entry, you're writing in the past tense, and then read it out loud, you're speaking in the past tense.
So this is the key point, practicing.
Practicing, and the time of day matters as well.
Okay, so as you have mentioned that really learning English in a specific part of the day, it's really important. So some people, they really like studying in the morning, others, they really like studying in the afternoon or the evening. So how that relate to learning English, and how can be effective to learn English and speak fluent English?
So it really does depend on the person and their daily schedule and where they can fit that in. But I've found that speaking before you go to bed can also help you prepare for the morning. Because what happens when we're sleeping? Our brain is processing all of the information that we learned from that day. If you can begin to dream in English, you've reached the next level because your subconscious is now absorbing that information and bringing it out to you in a dream.
So, as you have mentioned, the brain is really a key point in learning English. Having this conscious about what's going on in your mind, it's really important. And learning a language is a part of your thinking. It's a part of your brain. So you need to store the language you are learning. You need to store the English or the words you are learning in your unconscious brain. And this is what takes you to speak fluent English. Don't you think so? Because when we just by heart and we take words randomly, this is take us to losing words when we are talking and speaking to people.
Yes, we have to make that transition, or rather bridge that gap between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. So I tell students, when you do these routines of speaking 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, 10 minutes in the evening, or just simply writing a journal entry, your brain is going to begin processing that information while you sleep. If you wake up and you say, I just had a dream in English, you are on the right path. Keep going, keep doing that, because your brain is sorting that information out for you and storing it. And neural pathways are forming in English, which is so
Yes.
exciting.
That's true. And here I'm going just to talk about shadowing, as we have seen a lot of videos like challenges about shadowing, and it's really effective. Maybe I'm going to just explain in a neuro language way, in a neuro coaching language way, like when the people try to shadow, actually they are imitating the language.
Mhm.
So their brain take this automatic process of learning. And when you pronounce the word, you pronounce it in a way you have learned it first, right?
Yes.
Exactly. So, and even doing a shadowing like technique, it has its steps and its process, right?
Yes.
So, how do you advise the students to take the English or learn the English through shadowing?
So I take it in small bites, small chunks. So, especially in the American accent, we do a lot of linking and reduction with how we speak. So right now I'm speaking very formally, very clearly enunciating each word. But when I'm talking with my friends, or if you were watching a video of Americans speaking on a podcast or on the street, you're going to, what are they saying? Where are my subtitles? Where are my subtitles? So I advise them, take a small video, maybe, a reel or a YouTube short or something like that. Listen to them say a line, pause it, and then you repeat it. You can do shadowing all the time. And like I said, if you're a little embarrassed, you're in a public space, just have your headphones in. They're just going to think that you're talking to a friend, so you don't have to worry so much about that. Um, Social media is such a great tool to use in conjunction with going to the lessons. And some of my students find shadowing to be so much fun. We recently did a fluent community class called Say It Like You Mean It. That was the most popular class I have ever taught. I had one student come to that, and then I told her, well, we're actually going to use this topic again in the group class that she was also part of. She says, I don't care. She says, I loved it. I want to do it again. They had so much fun. Like, we would say the sentence slowly, then quickly, and highlighting those words that are coming together, like gonna instead of going to, and betta instead of better, better butter, putting all these words together. They had so much fun with that.
Yeah, so this is learning through fun and these spices, which gives the English a creative way of learning. I
Yeah.
totally agree. Like, as you have mentioned, that the shadowing can go through chunks, can go through just listening to a short video, but the student take it the hardest way, and maybe they will take Shakespeare and try shadowing on that, which
Yeah.
is really difficult.
Well, another thing that we do to make shadowing, interesting is we do skits and role playing in the class. So in the Say It Like You Mean It course, what I did was I would create skits, and I would put in parentheses like the tone, how the emotion behind the way you're saying it. Because in the beginning stages of learning English, everybody is very monotone, everybody is very flat, there's no fluency and emotion behind what they're saying. But when we did that class, we took some small segments of skits that we had done previously, and then I taught them, how to say it in different ways, even teaching them about sarcasm, which they found so interesting and loved because they're used to seeing that in movies. But now being able to understand American and British sarcasm, it was very exciting for them.
Yeah, so true and good to mention because in our academy, our online academy, as I mentioned before, we don't just teach English, we feel English. And actually, we do have a community for learning English, which is Khalik Fluent Community, which goes hand by other programs that can be one-to-one individual sessions, also group sessions. And what I like about our academy, I give the teachers this freedom to create what they want, to also teach how they want and do the things they like. And this is what makes the student enjoy and learn in a creative way. And I would like to talk here about Speaking Boost, which is a 3 months program. And it's not just learning like through books, through textbooks, through rules also, and by hearting, maybe learning vocabulary, learning rules. No, we don't have this in Linglo Speaksy, but we do have teachers who care what you need and also do what you need in the classes. There is an interactive activities that lead you to speak this fluent English. And I'm going to ask here teacher Heather about her experience with the group classes and how she create activities, talking activities, and which is pushing the student to speak more English.
Yes, so that is from the teaching side. One of my favorite aspects of this academy is having total freedom to create lessons however I think is going to benefit this group of students or this individual student. I have really enjoyed coming up with unique and interactive lessons, tailoring the skits and the reading passages to the interests of my students. A lot of my classes have been primarily female, but when I do have a couple of males in the class, I'm going to make sure that every skit has an opportunity for one of those male students to speak as well. Huge emphasis on every student getting a chance to speak. Lots of opportunities for them to speak in different ways, not only coming up with their own example sentences for vocabulary, but their opportunity to do some shadowing and mirroring the accents because everyone's on different levels. I like to give a variety of different ways of learning the same material. Some students are quick with coming up with their own sentences, whereas others just need structure and they need to just read what's on the screen to build the confidence and the fluency. So being able to be totally creative and totally original in this academy has been such a blessing for me.
Great. And this is what we want. We are caring about you as a student who is learning English, and also we are caring about the teacher who wants to give all what she has just for you as a student. Was really an amazing talk to talk about feelings, to talk about the brain while learning English.
Yes.
I think I have never heard about that because whenever you look for something about learning English, you are just going to find learn through textbooks, use this textbook, maybe use this song.
Yeah.
But it's all about you as a student and what you want to learn.
Yes. So I will tailor some of my lessons with my individual students to specifically what they want to learn about. I have one student whose passion is hiking. So I will do a lot of reading passages for her that focus around that passion. Another student, was working on her doctorate. So I tailored all of her lessons completely around the specific field of medicine that she was studying. And it was exciting to watch them be able to go from speaking about these topics fluently in their native language to also being able to speak about them fluently in English as well. You know, sometimes the students would struggle and say, I know this topic so well, and I just have to let them know, tell yourself that, give yourself that affirmation. I know this topic well and I can speak about it in English as well. So again, creating those neural pathways in the brain, positive affirmations, learning positive affirmations in English is going to take you to that next level.
So true. And I'm going to leave down in the description box a free guide for you to learn English in 20 days. And this is tackling specifically how to learn English through Neurolanguage Coaching. And speaking about that, we comes to our end, and I was really excited about this episode, and it's our first episode with teacher Heather. We are going to meet other teachers who are with us at Linglo Speaksy Academy, and I want to encourage you to join us into our new program, Speaking Boost, which is going to start next month.